All right, the live stream started. The meeting is being recorded. We are ready to begin. So we'll start with the roll call. Cindy Butts,
Here.
Wendy Clark, Heidi de Weingart,
Here.
Claudio Gualtieri,
Here.
Commissioner Mosquera Bruno,
Here.
Matt Puglisi,
Here.
Lisa Tupper Bates, Greg Ugalde.
Here.
We do have a quorum in attendance for the meeting.
Okay. Do you think Lisa's going to join us, or did she respond?
I'm not sure right now.
Not sure. Okay. All right. Well, welcome everyone. It's February, almost March, which seems kind of crazy, but we have a light agenda. The first item is a resolution regarding the financing of Veterans Terrace number 3, which is located in East Hartford, to be presented by Anne.
Yes. Hi, everyone.
Hi.
I hope you're well. Veterans Terrace 3. This is a 9% LIHTC preservation deal in East Hartford that was formerly part of the state-sponsored housing portfolio. And we're asking the committee to approve a construction to permanent loan of taxable bond financing for approximately $17.2 million, including $9 million as construction only and $8.2 million that will stay in as permanent amortizing loan over 37 years. The construction interest rate is going to be up to 7.4%, and the permanent side interest rate will be up to 6.51%. So Veterans Terrace 3 is the third and final phase of the preservation of 150 units that were originally owned by the East Hartford Housing Authority. The other two phases are now complete. Phase 1 is fully rented up and phase 2 is almost fully rented up. They're really nice. We went out and did a site visit and did a tour through phase 2, and boy, what a difference from the existing buildings. So phase 3, as well as phase 1 and 2, is being developed by the Carabetta companies in partnership with the East Haven Housing Authority. And it's a mix of new construction. It's a new construction mix of 1, 2, 3, and 1 4-bedroom unit throughout. All of the units will be project-based vouchers, Section 8. And for residents earning less than 60% of area median income, 30 of them will be for deep income targeted residents earning less than 25% of area median income. HUD will assign the existing HAP contract to the new owner. So the existing buildings, and there are 10 of them, I believe, that are 2-story brick kind of 1950s buildings, you can imagine, will be fully demolished, and a new layout looking kind of like a U shape with a community center in the middle of it will be built. New walks, new parking lots, underground utilities, all will be installed. So there'll be 9 total residential buildings and the community center. And the community center will be available to all 150 households in the entire development complex. The new buildings will be environmentally safe and energy efficient. They'll have solar panels. They'll be built to green building silver standards, and they'll be ADA compliant with the required number of units, specifically for handicapped accessible residents. The development team consists of many Carabetta entities. They're acting as developer, contractor, property manager, and the managing member of the general partner of the ownership entity. They have a very large portfolio of LIHTC projects. and are current, as you'll see in the write-up, on all of the loans that they have with CHFA. A subsidiary of the Housing Authority will also be included as a managing member of the partnership that will own the buildings, but the Housing Authority will continue to own the land under it and lease it to the mortgagor, with lease payments coming from available net cash flow after all of the other financing obligations are satisfied, for 98 years. I'm not quite sure why it's 98. I think it has to do with the other phases, but 98 years will be in the rental lease. The architect is Quisenberry, Arcari, Malik. They have numerous jobs and a large presence in the LIHTC sector. And the syndicator will be R4 Capital. They're a national syndicator. They were founded in 2011, and they've raised $5.5 billion in investments for LIHTC. They have a debt and equity portfolio of 528 properties. The location in East Hartford, the development is basically located in a residential community that borders what I would call a warehouse area, but all of the units surrounding the property are single and two family houses with smaller apartment buildings. The closest main street is Park Avenue, where those warehouses are located, and that's also where the bus line is located. It's not really easy to get there on foot, but the bus is somewhat accessible for those without cars. The market study that we had done expects a very large demand for this housing. The Housing Authority currently has a waiting list, so I don't anticipate any problems renting up these 51 units. The overall financing includes a total development cost of $30 million or $594,000 per unit, with a construction cost of $446,000 per unit. That includes the community center, which is financed within the third phase, but available to everyone. And that was about $68,000 per unit of phase 3. And it's also being financed mostly by the Community Investment Fund, which is contributing $3 million to the project. The Department of Housing is providing $4.5 million in flex funds. The project also has current reserves, which they are contributing of $525,000. Then there's a little bit in energy incentives of about $147,000. The costs are on the high side, but they do include complete demolition down to the basements, remediation, new foundations, street beds, community center, and they need to use Davis-Bacon prevailing wages. And there's also an identity of interest between the developer, contractor, all being under the umbrella of Carabetta, but we have maxed our overhead and profit for that purpose with them. I can't remember the percentages, but they're lower percentages than if they were not related companies. So the units are currently occupied, not all of them, because as the underwriting progressed, the Housing Authority decided not to reoccupy vacated units. So there are about 28 vacant units now on site. Of the remaining, 9 households are moving to Veterans Terrace 2. 4 households are being evicted for non-payment of rent, or have been evicted, so will increase the vacant unit count. And the balance of the 10 households are going to be temporarily relocated to other Housing Authority units locally for the time being. And any vacant units at construction completion will be, as I said, people will be offered from the waiting list at the Housing Authority to occupy those units. The project has a lot of strengths because it benefits from being the third of 3 phases with the same development team. So any issues in the field have been dealt with. There are very few unexpected issues that we expect going forward. The development will fully replace units that are way past their useful life and provide new and energy efficient and accessible units with durable finishes. The development will maintain affordability for all of the units for a long period of time without displacing any residents. And the community center will be a great addition for all of the residents and a valuable asset. There's going to be laundry and community space, a full basketball court, hopscotch courts, 4 square courts. It should be a real gathering place for those in the community. And my perceived challenge is that there may be delays or cost overruns. I mean, we've kind of already dealt with some of that in that the costs were higher than expected up to this point, but the contractor has agreed to hold those prices at the current level. Plus we have $1 million plus in contingency to deal with anything that's unexpected that comes up in the field. And we have offered to allow some stored materials if necessary on long lead time items. Although we talked to the construction manager last week and he didn't seem to think that that was a big issue for them. So all in all, I think it's going to be a very nice construction deal and great for the tenants. The residents are going to be living there in the future. Does anyone have any questions?
So the existing tenants who are being relocated, didn't it sound like they got priority? It's just
Yes.
it's wait list?
Oh, yes. They will have priority first.
Okay.
And then any vacant units, yes, once they return, they'll open up the wait list for,
Okay.
yes.
Questions?
I think you covered it, Ann, with your statement of not expecting anything else unexpected. I think that's what we're looking for in this type of situation.
Well, we did have a year delay because costs went way up during that time. And so the developer did go to CIF at that point for the community center financing. So I think that was a great solution to things, but then we didn't want it to happen again. So they did sign a letter stating that these were the costs weren't going to go up before, we were ready to close this thing.
And we like this contractor developer management team, right? We've done a lot with them.
We've done
Yeah,
a
we've
lot
done a
with them
lot.
over the years. Yeah, they've been around for a long time.
Yeah.
And they once they get going, they get the job completed. So,
Yep.
I want to point out that Lisa joined us. I don't know if Dawn, you saw that. Hi, Lisa.
Yeah, I did see.
Okay.
And the other 2 phases we walked through and they really look nice.
Good. Anybody else? Any other questions, concerns, comments?
Just one quick question, and I'm sorry,
Sure.
The name Veterans Terrace, that's a little bit misleading. This is not truly veteran-only housing.
No, and I thought so too initially. I don't know how or why it got its name, but no, it's not reserved for veterans.
Okay, just wanted to make sure. Thanks.
Yeah.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Okay, thanks, Greg. Is there a second?
Second it.
Also,
Okay. All right, Dawn?
Cindy Butts,
Yes.
Wendy Clark,
Yes.
Heidi DeWeingart,
Aye.
Claudio Gualtieri,
Yes.
Commissioner Mascara Bruno,
Yes.
Matt Puglisi,
yes.
Lisa Tepper Bates,
Yes.
Greg Ugalde.
Aye.
The vote passes unanimously.
Okay, thank you.
Thank
Okay, great. Next up is the approval of the minutes from our meeting of January 30th. Anybody have any comments, changes? Hearing none, I'll move the minutes. Is there a second?
Second?
Thanks, Greg. Okay, Dawn?
Cindy Butts,
Yes.
Wendy Clark,
Yes.
Heidi DeWeingart,
Aye.
Claudio Gualtieri,
Aye.
Commissioner Mascara Bruno,
Yes.
thank you. Matt Puglisi,
Yes.
Lisa Tepper Bates,
Aye.
Greg Ugalde.
Aye.
The vote passes unanimously.
Okay. And finally, we have the multifamily activities report. And I was thinking, Seema, you know, do you guys want to go to quarterly? Because residential is off the hook.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I think quarterly would be fine.
Yeah, I know this is a lot of work to put together. I do enjoy looking at them. But really your call, Seema.
Quarterly would be great. And plus some of the metrics, they don't really change on a month to month basis.
Right.
So I think it might be more, it might be better.
Then let's coordinate so we can do both the multi and the residential on the same quarterly schedule.
Yep.
If you would.
Okay.
Thank you. Okay, go ahead.
All right, so the development spotlight, we are highlighting McConaughey Terrace 4%. So it has a 9% component too, but this is the one we are showcasing. It's just started construction, so it's one of Glandover's deal, and it has 26 units for new construction and 66 units for moderate rehab. It's a family development, and all 92 units have project-based subsidies. It's just begun construction, so it'll be some time.
Wow. We need to see the after picture.
Yes, sure, we'll share once we get there.
Okay, thank you.
Then we can go to the next page. So this shows everything that's in multi-families Hopper, and this is data as of Feb 1. Pretty much all the metrics kind of remain the same. The buckets are the same. The competitive 9% round, the non-competitive 4%, and everything miscellaneous. And the yellow bucket is the SSHP capital grant projects. And now SSHP has a new name, SSHIP. So projects moving forward would use funding would be coming from that grant. So we have over 2 billion in TDC, about 92 projects, and 6,784 units in the hopper that multifamily is reviewing. In terms of the active rounds, we have the 9% round that's under review. We have 87 open HTCC applications. We have about 24 SSHP priority needs that have been awarded, and built for CT, we have one development. And we are looking to close another one soon. So probably next time around, you'll see that. Next up. So this is year-over-year comparison. And similar to last year, the TDC has increased this year. It's about a 17% increase from last year.
So wait, Seema, we're in February, so you're comparing 23 to 22 or? what year?
24 February to 23 February.
Oh, okay, February to February, okay.
Yeah, February to February. So, last time around, this time in February, we had about a little over 2 billion, and now we have about 2.2 billion in terms of total development costs for everything that is in multifamilies Hopper. In terms of units, we see a slight decline, about 5% this year. Number of projects is about the same. We have 92 projects. We had 96 last time around.
Mhm.
So it again just points to the same thing that, yeah, we are seeing it's taking more to develop these projects and units.
Mhm.
Next up. So this time around, we thought of showcasing the small multifamily CDFI loan pool program, and board approved recently, last time around, extended the program through 2029. We just wanted to showcase a few properties, and this is the program where CHFA provides low-cost funds to the CDFIs, and these are provided to properties that would normally not directly come to CHFA. And CDFIs use CHFA funds and their own to finance these small multifamily properties. So last time around, we had 53 rental units that would be created with these funds, and it would equate to about 58 grants per unit. So for a very reasonable per unit cost, we are able to get a lot of units rehabbed or online, back online. So it's pretty neat. So these are some before and after pictures. There are two current projects on the top, and then some previous before and after projects. Okay, moving to news and insights. A member of multifamily team participated as a panelist for DECD's webinar titled Building Your Own Development Capital Stack. The other panelists were experts from Green Bank, SHIPO, DECD's Community Investment Fund Program, DOH, DEEP, and Yukon. In February, a couple of weeks back, multifamily staff participated in the Novogradac LIHTC 101 webinars. It was pretty interesting. There were about 13 people just from multifamily, and then there were additional members from CHFA. Key points included the significance of the 9% tax credit floor, competitive allocation through states QAP, nuances of claiming tax credits, and particularly the ACT rehab deals. In other news, the LIHTC 9% round is actively under review. CHFA and DOH are reviewing the 10 applications that we received. Requests for clarification of information have been made, and responses are being reviewed as we are getting them. Rating and ranking will begin in March. The other round is the HTCC. We are prepping up for the upcoming round in April. Next up. Okay, in terms of closings, we had no initial closings in January. I think we crammed them all together November, December, so we'll pick back steam soon. There were two final closings in January, Armstrong Court Phase 2 in Greenwich, and a pre-transaction critical needs Riverside School Cooperative in Torrington. Now here is a table of projects that are that we are hoping to bring to board in the coming months. Next up. So upcoming transaction in the months ahead. This time we are showcasing Waterville Common in Bridgeport. The owner mortgagor is Walter Wills Common LLC, and the scope is it's a gut rehab of a historic school, and all the units would be family units, 70 of them, and all of them would be affordable. So these would be transit. This is a transit-oriented development, and there are 26 one-bedroom units, 37 two-bedroom units, and everything will be affordable under 80% AMI. There's a bird's eye view of the current school, and then a rendering of the proposed development. Any questions?
Heidi,
go
can I
ahead.
ask a question? Oh, I'm
Sure.
sorry.
No, go ahead, Lisa. I'll remember.
Thanks. So Seema, just a quick question. A few slides back when you showed the units in the multifamily pipeline and the projects in the multifamily pipeline, they're fallen off a little bit from last year. Is that just timing? Because if I understood you properly, that's is that, well, I'm not sure. Is that year on year or is that this
Year on
month?
year on year.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, a few slides back.
So, yeah, so the units in the pipeline and the projects in the pipeline are actually, you know, small enough change from last year, but not the direction I think ideally we'd like to see it go. Why is that?
That's Lisa, that's related a lot to the difficulty developers are having in bringing these projects forward and the expense. So we're actually seeing smaller size projects come in. So while we may have roughly the same number of applications under review, they're smaller in size. And we're working to try to remedy that. But it's hard to impact what's going on in the market right now in terms of cost and delivery.
Yeah, no, that makes sense, but thank you for that explanation. That actually intersects with just a second question, and something we've talked about a little bit before, and I know it's hard to track, but it's, I think, so important if we can that we have an understanding of the number of units that are potentially coming off of deed restriction, so that we can think in more universal terms about the whole stock of affordable housing in the state. It's terrific when we see the numbers of what we're helping get out there. But if we don't understand what is potentially coming off of deed restriction, we don't really have a full understanding of whether we're growing the stock or just staying even, right? So
Right.
if there's any way to continue that conversation and think about how we can keep tabs on what is coming off of deed restriction and therefore decreasing the available stock, I think it'd be helpful to us in having the widest angle view of the work.
Sure. So there's really two components of that, right? There's the inside CHFA maturing and expiring restrictions, right? And we've got a pretty good handle on that. As a matter of fact, we're going to be ramping up our preservation program and sort of our proactive approach to preservation by taking a look at our portfolio and see annually what's exposed to maturity and expiration. What we don't have a good grip on at CHFA is that external portfolio with deed restrictions that may be expiring. I guess we can start working on a way to try to partner up with some of our either sister agencies or some of the larger federal agencies to see if there's a way to couch what that portfolio might look like. Any suggestion or guidance by any of the board members would be greatly appreciated.
I think that'd be really, really helpful. And I'm not sure if Chelsea is here, but I would suggest that several years ago, the Partnership for Strong Communities actually had an estimate of the numbers of units that were going to roll off of restriction. I don't know how they developed that data, but it would be an interesting place to start because they must have done some research into that wider picture. But I think that'd be so helpful for the CHFA board to see how our effort fits into that larger picture. So thank you.
I'll speak with Marcus from our research and marketing area and see if he has some suggestions on how we might be able to couch that. And we will have subsequent talks about how we approach that once we find the information. So.
How about Department of Housing, SELA? Is that something you guys track?
We track our what is in our portfolio.
Right.
So, and perhaps, I mean, as Lisa was mentioning, because we didn't actually have staff in asset management, and finally I got two people that are going to be looking at the portfolio, but we should also review it because some of the properties that we have provided financing are not in CHFA portfolio.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah, so that will be an exercise that we will need to do. Thank you, Lisa, for mentioning.
And then Heidi, before we go on, I just want to give a little bit more color on the build for CT because in the report that we provided, we're only showing what we closed, right? So we we closed Kelson Road. As a matter of fact, we funded Kelson Road today. They should have the first disbursement of $5.5 million today. We have Steel Point, which is the large deal down in Bridgeport, expected to close either the end of this week or the beginning of next week, and that's a fairly sizable commitment of $20 million. Under consideration in total right now, we have around 30 to 38 projects that have inquired about Build for CT. So it's been a very robust response, particularly lately. That right now, the requests that we're associating with those inquiries are around $105 million. And it represents just under 3,500 total units, with around 850 of those being earmarked for restricted. So that's sort of the universe that we're dealing with right now, and it seems to be growing on a fairly steady basis. And I think that's a big indication of what's happening in the market rate development world, that they're all coming to us because they have gaps. The interesting thing is, I think a lot of this is generated by 830G and the affordability plans that went into effect, where almost all the municipalities are now requiring a certain percentage of their new stock to be dedicated as affordable. And so because of the loss in income due to those restrictions, there have been some gaps created. And so this program is very timely, and it seems to be the perfect gap filler for a lot of these developers. So I just wanted to give you a little bit of color, because I want you to know the volume on Build for CT is extremely high.
Yeah, it sounds almost overwhelming. I mean,
there are days that it's overwhelming, yes.
Okay, that's interesting. Well, it's good. You know, you got the right place at the right time. You know, that's our goal, to help these gaps. And if we have to change our focus, then maybe that's a good direction.
Yep.
Anybody else? Any other questions, comments? Nice short meeting. Anybody? Okay, a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Good, thanks.
I got there
second?
first this time, Greg.
Yeah. He's gonna be a Jeopardy player, I think. He's quick on this.
I try to wait too.
All right, all in favor of adjourning, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right, thanks, everybody.
Thank you, everybody.
Hi, everybody.
Take care.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Take care.
See you
Bye.
Thursday.